Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining my talk here at the Unit8 Cyberspace at the Intelligent Health. We're delivering the event, as as you've noticed, in a different way than last year. So you can see me presenting, of course, from home. But I hope that this not dilute the value and the insights that I'm planning to bring. Thanks a lot for joining once again. My name is Kamil Zalewski. I'm running the AI practice for the organization that's called Unit8. Unit8 is a small and yet growing very rapidly data and AI solution provider based out of Switzerland, where we are trying to help our customers embark on the journey to adopt AI. So the session that I have today is around conveying some of the best practices when it comes to selecting your first AI project. So I'm hoping that if you're here, you're either thinking about the AI projects, or maybe you are already doing some and you would like to compare the notes. So quick word around about Unit8. Like I mentioned, our goal is to actually help democratize the access to the AI technologies and to help the companies unlock the value that can come out of data. And we're doing that with the help of a really digital native team and a digital native skill set. So we've actually cherry picked some really strong skills and strong team members from some of the world's most famous digital organizations to form Unit8. Right now, we're in Lausanne, we're in Zurich, and we're also working across all of the European market. So the topic for today, like I mentioned, is about successfully selecting your first AI use case. Because selecting your first AI project can actually either make or break your organization's impression of AI. So what I'm going to cover today is a very quick notion of AI business context. Then I'll be actually sharing with you the methodology that we've developed for making sure that the project that you select for your first AI use case is as successful as it can be. And I'll be giving some takeaways and some recommendations on how to go through that process and methodology. Again, this session is for you. Therefore, please do ask questions. Please do ask them via the chat panel or raise hand, and I'll allow you to join the conversation. So jumping into the AI business context. So if you're here with me at the Intelligent Health 2020 conference, I'm guessing that you've already noticed the trend, but also the impact that the AI technologies are going to be having now and in the near future. So a report by McKinsey actually shows that the GDP growth generated by AI will be anywhere between 13 and 15 trillion dollars by 2030. Out of that, a solid portion to be accounted here, meaning in Europe. And yet a big portion of that impact is going to materialize within the non-digital native industries, right? That includes pharma, that includes healthcare as well. So on one hand, we've seen that the AI actually is a major business opportunity, and yet we've seen on the market that the AI projects have proven to be somewhat difficult to implement. And there's a lot of myths around the topic that arose that can potentially dilute the impact of AI. And you might be thinking, why now, right? Why is AI such a hot topic right now? Given the fact that AI has been here all the way from the 60s of the last century. But in a nutshell, there has been a few things that happened over the last years that massively accelerated the development and the adoption of AI in the industry. And I like to call it a story of three ups and one down. First of all, we are all aware that the amount of the data that we produce as the society and as human beings has exploded, right? It has massively gone up. That includes, of course, the digital healthcare data as well. At the same time, with the adoption of the cloud and the compute power of our computers has dramatically gone up as well. And there have been some technology advancements that happened in the last years. I'm guessing that all of you heard about deep learning, but also even the latest development in the natural language processing space as well can be a proof point. And at the same time, historically we've been always limited when it comes to storing the information and storing the data. Right now, that's becoming less and less of a problem because the storage prices, right, whether on-premise or in the cloud, have massively gone down. So all of that, right, creates a pretty compelling environment to invest in the AI space. So now jumping to the methodology and talking a little bit about the successful AI projects. So we've already established, right, that there's a business potential and there's the technology side, meaning the capabilities have actually massively improved. And when we're starting to discuss with our customers about investing in the AI practice and investing in the first projects, we always encourage to dream big, but at the same time take some baby steps to prove the point, to test, let's say, AI capabilities. So what we're usually starting to ask our customers is to think about the proof of concepts, think about the pilots, because this will allow you to gain experience, it will allow AI to actually gain some credibility and to build the momentum for the future projects and maybe even for a company-wide AI practice. At the same time, if you're able to measure the results, even better, right? Because that can allow you to clearly show the impact of AI and the projects that it brings. So I've been using the terminology called successful AI project. So what is it that I mean in here, right? And I guess the way we describe the AI projects, if they are successful or not, first of all, we do believe that the AI project should be delivering value, if it, especially measurable type of the value. So that could be the positive ROI. It can be the problems that the AI solutions have solved for you. And again, usually the first projects allow you to think about scaling your AI practice even further. And what's also very important is that no machine learning model is good if it sits unimplemented, right? So I would say that one of the success factors of the AI projects is about the solution actually being integrated all the way from a small proof of concept into the actual workflow of your operations. Obviously, I do want to give a quick remark in here that this applies a little bit less to more research type of the environment, where of course the success criteria might be different than just the business outcomes. And you might be thinking, I mean, why is AI different, right? I mean, how does it differ from any other innovative type of the project that you might have worked on in the past? And I guess the biggest difference, right, is around the data uncertainty, right? First of all, there's no data, there's no AI if there's no data. And if you think further on, you need to have the data available, you need to have the right quality of the data, there need to be the right signals in the data in order for AI to actually work. What's also important is that AI is also about iterations, right? About the continuously improving the solution, right? Starting with the proof of concept, moving to the minimum viable product, later on to a full-blown solution, so that you can iterate and you can quickly fine-tune what you're working on. So the importance of the agile development, a terminology from the software space, is actually even more important than in any of the other projects that you might have been working on. And one more characteristics of a successful AI project, and I do like to quote in here Andrew from the Deep Learning AI Institute, right, that the successful AI projects, right, are feasible and valuable at the same time, right? So if you're able to be there in that sweet spot at the interjections of the both circles, meaning that your project can deliver on a business value and at the same time it's technically feasible. That's where you want to be. So jumping to the methodology, and again, it's not rocket science, but actually this methodology has tremendously helped us help our clients to deliver more than 40 successful projects in the area of data science, machine learning, and AI. And you can think about it as a funnel where you start with some generic ideas about the AI projects, and then you basically verify and assess, let's say, those ideas throughout the funnel, so that by the end you have one or two ideas that have been somewhat proven and verified that you can take later on into the proof of concepts or the pilots. And there are 4 simple steps. The first one is about ideation, so basically I'm trying to identify a large number of ideas, all the way through step 2, which is around the potential business impact assessment, then step 3 about the technical assessment, and then again moving to the proof of concept and the pilot. So step 1 of the methodology, ideation, right? So if you're thinking about starting an AI project, right, you're probably already have some ideas in mind, right? You have some areas where AI could help, or you probably have some pain points that that you think that the data-driven approach can help. So the focus of the step 1, the ideation, is basically around creating an initial list of potential projects to further verify throughout working through that funnel. And in here, the tools that we're using, right, are around asking what are the pain points that you're currently experiencing, what are the problems that you're trying to solve, what are the business drivers, right, of your organization, or maybe which tasks can be automated. So we usually organize the workshop style discussions and the brainstorming sessions to basically derive about 8 to 15 different ideas that later on we work with to further verify. And here are some problem statements, and I've actually picked several of the ones from the different industries. But like the recent example that we had the opportunity to work on comes from the pharma space, where we've been talking to one of the major pharma producers, and they've told us, we do have a problem. We're running out of the capacity on one of the pharma production lines, and we can either invest a massive capex into building a new production line, or can we actually use advanced analytics and AI to maybe figure out if we can gain a few percentages of productivity. So that's a good problem statement, right, that allowed us to later on actually develop into a full-blown solution and a full-blown optimization of the production line. So step 2, right? By this time you have a list of several ideas, and now you're starting to think from the ROI, the business value perspective, right? Because as we mentioned, those successful AI projects, they carry some business impact. So in here, we're using also different tools, like we're trying to verify if the ideas for the projects do align with the business drivers that you have. We have some simple tools like the impact to effort assessment, and several of the other things that are allowing us to trim down the initial list from 10 plus ideas to something like 5 ideas. And a few things that we're doing here, like I mentioned, depending on what are your business drivers, right? We're trying to make sure that the projects that we're investigating, right, are either helping you lowering cost, or are helping you, of course, increase the revenue, or are helping you to stay compliant, or maybe there's a brand new data-driven product that you're designing. And again, we are trying to ensure that the projects that we're working on and that we're helping you evaluate basically do align and correspond to those business drivers. And another thing that we do as well is we're trying to assess the impact and the effort that goes to the project. And I mean, no rocket science in here. You can see my my simple 2x2 matrix, but in fact, it's a very powerful tool to quickly reject some of the projects that may have low value and potentially high effort. And in here, you can actually pick the ones that can be possibly quick wins, right? So the projects that have the low to medium effort while can carry a pretty high impact. So that helps us to actually, again, from those 5, 8 uh, initial project ideas, select maybe 2, maybe 4 into the technical assessment and technical verification. So step 3, the technical verification, right? So we're trying to answer the question, can AI deliver, right? Can AI do the project that you intended to do? And in here, again, with trying to use several of the tools that are helping us to assess that. And by the end of this particular round, you should be really having 1 or 2 projects that will go into the proof of concepts or the pilots. And in here, what we're doing is that we're trying to really verify if the problem is solvable with AI. Do you have the data? Do you have the right data? Can the potential AI system meet the required performance? Do you actually have the skills in-house to resolve the problem? How quickly do you need the project to be delivered? So all of those questions we are asking at the step 3, which is the technical assessment. And the final element of this particular step is something that we call the AI project business canvas, that very often later on serves for a business case that usually needs to be created to get the funding for the project. So in here, as you see, there are several boxes where we're trying to basically encapsulate all of the data that we've gathered through those steps around about the potential project, right? So we're trying to capture the information. What is it that we're solving for? What's our hypothesis on how we can solve the problem? Can we actually already at this stage somehow prove the hypothesis? What's the solution that we're thinking about? Do we have the right data? Do we have the right team? How are we going to know that we're successful? What's the cost? What's the potential cost of the project and the expected ROI? What's the timeline? So creating those AI business canvases for those ideas of the projects, again, allows us to already have a notion, are we going to be successful with that project or not? So once we finish the AI canvas, we're basically down to 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 maximum projects that we want to go into the pilot stage. So in here, we're working to create a proof of concept to make sure, again, that before we invest a lot of money into into a full-blown solution, with verifying if it's really going to be delivering the value. Again, in here, we're really using the agile methodologies to very quickly iterate and go quickly for that verified idea to something that can later on become your minimum viable product. So the end result, right, is basically after the POC to pick the project that has the highest chances of being successful, and to move it from the initial proof of concept into the MVP stage. So some key takeaways, right? What have we learned while working on more than 40 projects like that? And first of all, I mean, seeing is believing. So if you actually have the ideas of the project that can be potential quick wins, right? Meaning they have a relatively low to medium effort and can deliver on the value, this is where you want to get started. At the same time, you do want to make sure that you have the right team and you have both the subject matter experts in your domain, right? In the depending on where you come from, which domain you come from. Should it be pharma? Should it be pharma manufacturing? Should it be healthcare? And the AI experts, right? Those two parties do need to work together and they do need to kind of speak the same language. So that's also very important to ensure that there's that very clear collaboration between the data experts and the AI experts and the domain experts. At the same time, I've spoken already quite a bit about the pilots and POCs. These are the best ways to actually prove the value of AI project. And again, having a successful pilot can lead to a successful full-blown project later on. Another important factor is that we are trying to encourage our customers again to be as pragmatic as possible, meaning we can have the best performing machine learning model, but if it stays unimplemented, I mean, it does not bring any value, right? So already think about the projects, right, that can be implemented later on and can generate the business value upon implementation as well. And related to this one, AI still has a lot of myths around it. So the sooner you can actually create a real value or solve a real business problem, the higher chances you will have to go on to the next AI projects. And as with any of innovative projects, the communication and change management is key. Think that AI can quite often disrupt, for example, the workflows. It can actually change the way people were working on the particular projects. So making sure that they are on board, making sure that they understand what is it that you're trying to do is one of the key components of the success in here. So in a nutshell, and to sum up, I think what I've tried to convey in these 20 minutes is that AI represents a significant business potential. And yet there's still quite a lot of misconceptions around AI, and the AI projects have proven to be somewhat difficult to implement. If you're looking to start your journey into AI, please make sure that you invest the time into selecting the right project, and also do invest the time into the proof of concepts and pilots. Again, a successful AI project carries both the business impact and it's feasible from the technology perspective. I've shown you a methodology on how to select a project. There's more, of course, methodologies and the tools that exist, but at the same time, the one that I've shown you has proven to be successful over more than 40 projects. Again, feel free to leverage. We're happy to help you with this one as well. And what we've seen as well is that starting your journey into the AI adoption with the right project can actually quickly allow you to create the foundation for a company-wide AI program or AI practice. And I think this is the right way to go to ensure that you're setting yourself up for a success not only with the initial project, but later on with the next projects as well. Well, thanks a lot for listening. As Unit8, we're trying to ensure that we share as much knowledge as we can, so feel free to follow us on social media. And I'll turn into questions right now. Let me go to the questions. Perfect. Let me know if anyone wants to actually join the live discussion. Raise hand, and I'm happy to add you to the live chat. I am seeing. Perfect. I'm seeing some questions about some courses for clinicians starting their journey into the field of AI and healthcare AI. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of very interesting content on Coursera or on the other online platforms. I did quote the NG in my session. That's probably one of the best starters. The person is a former Google person and actually delivers some spectacular lectures on an intro to AI. And even though he comes from the computer science space, he still talks the language that everyone who's not natively from that industry can easily understand. So I'll put in a link into the chat window in a second. But and you need from the deep learning AI, that would be my kind of starting position. Perfect. So that's one of the questions. Perfect. And yeah, there's a comment from Richard that yeah. About the scarcity of the talent. So indeed, the AI space is missing quite a lot of talent right now. So if you think about it, I think it's estimated that about 50% of the global talent in the AI space works for those the massive organizations like Google, like Amazon, like some of the other big players like Facebook, right? Which leaves only a limited amount of talent available on the market. So when you're thinking about your kind of plans for AI, do take that in mind. What's going to be your strategy to either attract the talent, if you're planning to create an AI team in-house, or to partner, right? To partner with the external organizations, or to buy some of the solutions, right? Because those are the three ways you can move forward. Buy some of the off-the-shelf things. Sometimes it can work if you can actually buy a solution that matches your needs perfect. You can partner with the external companies like ours to help you kind of bootstrap and jump quickly to some of the solutioning, or which takes a little bit more time, but should be probably the right thing to do at the very long run, is to establish an in-house organization of AI within your company. Feel free to get in touch with myself over LinkedIn. I'll put in as well my contact details in the chat window. Any other questions? In that case, thanks a lot for listening and for tuning in. Have a wonderful rest of the presentation. Yeah, I'm looking forward to staying in touch in one form or another. All the best.